Now let's do the finish painting. So here is the painting we're going to do, and the first thing we're going to do is the sky scene. Now we have to consider where our horizon is. It's here, so it's just below the middle, so we can put a mark here. So here's the middle and it's just below. I'm using a pen, should really use a pencil. Okay, now let's begin. So the first thing is to wet the whole sky surface. So just wetting the paper. And I'm using watercolor paper this time. There we go. You don't want a big puddle, a big pool of water, but you don't want lots of dry patches either. So we've done that. Now we're going to do the red. I think that's right. It needs to be a fairly weak mix. Let's check. That's perfect. So I don't want this paper too wet or too dry. So let's do a simple cloud. 1, 2, or it's beginning to dry. 3, and then let's have it going up. 4, and then one big more bump, and there we go, like that. Now lower down, I want the red to be fainter, so I'm just going to add some water to this, dab a little, and maybe it's fainter. Now I'm going to do the purple cloud. So this is like a distant soft cloud, and this purple cloud is a closer, darker one. So this needs to be a slightly thicker mix. Hopefully that will do. Now I'm going to begin about here. And I want this to, I didn't mix it very well. I can see red, and I'm going to start here. Whoops, you do get splatter. I could try and hide that, but I'm not going to bother. Now this is spreading very quickly, which means it's all too wet. My mixture's a bit too wet, the paper's a bit too wet. So it might be a good idea just to wait a little. Let it dry. So it starts off fat here and it gets thinner here. And I want most of this cloud below this red because I'm going to paint or do a highlight using tissue, so not actually painting the highlight. There, that will do. Very, very simple. I might try and hide that. There we go. Yeah, that will do. So get my tissue, fold in half, half again, and half again, half again. And you want this edge, and then here we're going to do like this. Oh, and that's looking good. Now you want the red above because we're removing the red paint and that's creating this white highlight. Oops, and if it gets dirty, just use another piece of clean tissue. Like that. Another space that's clean. So that is good enough. One more thing you can do, if you're feeling brave, is have streaks of white light coming down here. But you have to make sure the tissue is super clean and that it's not too wet, the paper, else you'll remove too much paint. So here we go, let's have a try. So the sun is here, so we've got rays coming down, across, and at this angle. So here we go, just a little, one, and then one more here, which is slightly down, like that, and I might do a touch more. This is a very tricky technique, so if you don't want to try it, don't bother. Now this has dried, or almost, so we're going to continue down with the red paint, but it's going to be for the river. Now if this is almost dry, you don't want to be adding paint above it, because you might get a cauliflower, a big ugly mark. So you want to make sure it's either still wet or it's dry, but nothing in between. So what I've done is I've wiped this with the tissue and it feels very dry, so I'm going to risk it. Normally I would wait a little bit longer, but because I'm doing this video and time is important, I'm just going to carry on as quickly as I can. So what I'm going to do is strokes across. Now it is a good idea to get some scrap paper. Always have some next to your main piece of paper, and I'm going to practice on my scrap paper. Very, very important. Okay. Oh, that's beautiful. So I'm doing quick strokes, and that's giving me this speckled effect, which is going to look like sparkling water. And there we go. The first wash.